Hello and welcome to another episode of the Independent Producers Organization, a small program based out of Portland, Oregon, designed to help producers like myself get their message out to the world. Talk about whatever pretty much is important to producers, helping the media industry, and other things that come out of actually being part of the public access system. I have two great guests today. We have a slight audio problem with one of them, so we'll fix that during the show. Live is awesome. And so the first one we have to my left, we have Hope McGee. Hope, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. You have a very glittery ensemble here. What is that for?
It's so sparkly, right?
It is, at least two strips of it is. What is that for? What's the crown that you got for that?
I'm Miss Oregon Collegiate America 2018, so that means that I'm going to compete for Miss Collegiate America actually next week.
Okay.
And it's kind of like Miss America. It's a similar system, but it's more similar now that Miss America got rid of the swimsuit portion of the competition.
Right.
But the areas of competition are a little bit different.
Okay, give me an example of some of the competition areas that are different.
So instead of a talent portion or a swimsuit competition, we have a fun fashion runway competition, which is very similar to evening gown, but the dresses are far more flamboyant.
Flamboyant. They sparkle more, I think is what you're saying, right? The sparkle.
Mine has no sparkles.
No sparkles at all. How can you be flamboyant without sparkles?
Giant flowers.
No, I guess I'm wrong again, right? And to my right here we have JoJo Scott, and JoJo, you're going to have to speak up a little bit to get through my mic. How are you doing, JoJo?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So we'll fix her mic and we'll be able to talk to her in a few minutes. But JoJo is a finalist from season 11 of Teen Idol that I produce. And she went around and did the competition like she was supposed to, and then went on summer tour. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about how that experience was for you, the competition itself, then the actual process of going through the tour itself, and then what is it you learned, hopefully something from the whole experience, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to focus a little bit on you now, Hope. We'll get the audio fixed. So tell me a little bit about why you got into pageants in general.
I got into pageants for the scholarships. There aren't a whole lot of scholarships out there for middle-class people, understandably.
Understandably, right.
And I saw pageants as a really good opportunity to not only practice being up in front of a lot of people at the same time, but also to earn a little bit of scholarship money for college at the same time.
So when you're talking about a little bit of money, are we talking about Yale tuition? Are we talking, community college? I mean, what kind of tuition comes out of some pageants or this pageant?
So for this pageant, if I win Miss Collegiate America, I will get a $10,000 scholarship in addition to the rest of the prize package that goes along with that.
Okay.
For a pageant system like Miss America, they are far more established because they've been around for a lot longer.
Absolutely.
So even on the local level, you get some kind of scholarship. My sister has competed in the Miss America system for a couple of years now, and she's earned thousands of dollars in scholarships just competing at her county local pageants. Okay.
So now when you're talking about thousands of dollars of scholarships, what college are you looking to apply that toward, or do you know?
I go to Portland State University.
Okay, so I mean, with $10,000 with Portland State, that could probably very well help you considerably with your financial.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's kind of expensive to go to college in general. Going to a community college, I guess the word is more reasonable cost. I don't know if that term really exists, but for people that have a lot of money, that's not reasonable. For people that, like me, that seem to have not anything at the end of the day, that seems like a good amount of money. So at the local or the regional level, not at the national level, did you get anything for winning?
I did not. There are other states where this system is more established, and those state title holders did win money when they won.
Now, I guess the difference is I know some pageant systems. I've worked in the international. I've worked with the different pageants because my wife does pageant hair and makeup for some folks, and as well as I have really good friends with a lot of pageant people. Honestly, if someone told me 10 years ago that I would be involved in pageants, I'd tell them there's a pier, go walk off of it. But now that my wife is fully involved in it, and my first pageant I produced ever, my wife was doing hair and makeup for, there's so many pageant systems out there. Why did you choose to go with this particular system? Is collegiate system all by itself, or is it part of a bigger system?
So the collegiate system is part of a larger system called the Miss High School America organization.
High school?
High school, yeah.
Okay.
So there are actually 4 title holders from Oregon. There's elementary, junior high, high school, and collegiate.
For the high school program?
For the high school program.
Okay.
And they're all different age groups.
All right, obviously.
Yeah. And I chose to compete for Miss Oregon Collegiate because I wanted to experience what it was like to be a part of a pageant because
Sure.
I hadn't done that before. And B, I chose it for the platform.
Which is?
The Miss Collegiate America program has a national platform of building respect and values for everyone, also called BRAVE.
All right.
And that is a national anti-bullying platform.
Okay.
And as somebody who was bullied extensively as a little kid and even into my college years, I felt that it was a very important message to be spreading.
Sure. And the hard part about that is too is that there's people argue that the anti-bullying and the other side of it, that some bullying for guys actually can make them stronger or better men and not as complaining. But the problem is the value is so small in the bigger picture. Anyone that says there's no value is fooling themselves, because good can come out of every bad situation. But as someone that was also bullied when I was a kid in school, because I was very small and I just scrapped, so I can get in fights. And if someone really got in my face, I'll get in fights with them. But I never really looked back. Back in the 80s, it was a different world than it is today, and the way that people are taught and how bullying works, and it's become excessive based on how we do life in the social media realm and how bullying works, because nowadays you don't even have to touch someone and you're still bullying them. And that's something that's very unique and new to someone like myself that graduated from high school before cell phones.
Yeah.
And anyone out there that's my age and they're mid to late 40s or later, there's no concept of having a cell phone when we're in school. You're going to call someone, you're either literally calling them physically, or you're getting to a landline and calling them. I think that Interspace was the first movie that came out where they had a car phone in the BMW, and everyone's like, oh, car phone, wow, so cool. And now you can pretty much run your entire life on your cell phone, which usually means you need therapy. But generally speaking, the platform anti-bullying, the organization BRAVE, that's the name of the organization, right, is what exactly are they doing to help reduce, prevent, and or help victims of bullying?
So the goal of the BRAVE program is to teach people how to deal with being bullied.
Okay.
Because there's really no way to stop someone from bullying someone else. All you can do is control your own actions. And that's the foundation for the BRAVE program. So beginning by treating everyone with respect is really huge in the BRAVE program. Okay. And making sure that you are telling your bullies, you need to stop, you need to leave me alone. Because a lot of the time when you're being bullied, at least for me, like I was so scared when I was being bullied that there was no way I was going to look my bully dead in the eye and be like, you need to leave me alone.
Right.
But I didn't have anybody who told me to do that.
Sure.
And because all of the advice I got was, oh, just ignore them, it'll go away, they just want to get a reaction out of you. And yes, 100% true, don't get me wrong, that is true. But that doesn't really help.
Sure. Some people, I guess it all depends on too where you live. If you live in a more, what's the term, a community that has a little bit more financial capability, for lack of a better term, don't do this to me, stop it, I'm going to tell someone, or you're bullying me and I don't appreciate it, or what you're doing is unacceptable. If you're talking inner city New York, Compton, something like that, where although it's not 100% the case, very frequently, even saying that would make a bad situation worse. It's like pouring paint thinner on a fire. It's not going to go out. It's going to escalate. And I guess these are experts that are trained to be able to help students understand what the right way, based on your past. A bully is a pest, right? How the pest is annoying, and what do? Do you spray it? Do you hit it? Do you walk away? Do you go to the lake and jump in? Type of thing.
My advice in situations like that would be to make sure that live by the buddy system. Make sure you've always got somebody with you. Make sure that even if you tell a teacher and they don't do anything about it, make sure that a teacher knows what's going on, or really just any adult you trust, because at the end of the day, like, people are going to do whatever they want, and that's really annoying, but that's what it is.
Right.
And if you, at the very least, make sure that there are people who are aware of what's going on.
Right.
A, people are more likely to believe you later when you tell them about it.
Right.
And B, if you are specific about like the instances that are happening, there's a track record of that.
Right.
And at the very least, even if nothing happens because you were being bullied, the next person who comes forward, the bully can have their file looked at, their records looked at.
Collaborate the behavior.
Yeah, and the school or the institution or whatever can look at that and say, oh, there's a track record here.
Sure.
This isn't just one person.
Right. So now you mentioned earlier that part of the training was to teach you as the being bullied person how to react differently. And you mentioned that one of them is to let them know. Mm-hmm. And how do they teach you, if you know, how to, process it after it's happened and you're now, you're home, you have your afternoon cartoons, if people still watch cartoons in the afternoon.
I do.
Yeah, there you go. DuckTales all the way, yeah. But I mean, the reality of it is, how do they teach you to process being bullied earlier in the day to help you not get upset and want to lash out or to have a vendetta against the person or try to get back at them? I mean, I'm assuming that's not being taught to do those things.
Oh,
so,
no.
So what are they teaching you on how to cope after the fact?
The focus that I like to bring is keeping your eye on the fact that everybody is coming from someplace. Right. And I don't know where you came from. I don't know where JoJo came from. I only know my point of view.
Right.
And if somebody is bullying me, I don't know where they're coming from. And they may not even realize what they're doing. And so trying to keep in mind that you don't know where everybody's coming from, and they may be experiencing something at home or in their work life or something like that, that is making things so stressful for them that they're not even realizing what they're doing. And so not necessarily pitying them or letting it slide, but keep in mind the things that you don't necessarily know, and hold on to that, and hold on to the fact that it's not your fault that you're being bullied.
Right.
Most of the time you did nothing wrong, and that's something that I really encourage people to hold on to when they're being bullied. They didn't do anything wrong. It's just them, the other person, lashing out at them for some silly reason. And
I noticed that for people that bullied me specifically is because I was not very, I was not physical, I was not bullying other people, and, I never did any of those type of really aggressive things in school, so I was now the target for the people that were. And, you watch all these movies and they have things like even on New Cobra Kai where the kid is lashing out and being a bully at school and then going home and he's being the bully. He's getting bullied by other people, his dad or whatever. And what you said is very much true. You never know what is happening in their person's life that is leading them down this path. And I would say probably majority of them at a certain point know that they are bullies, even if they may not know specifically how they're being a bully at times. I think in today's society, I think it would be really, really poor to say that people are ignorant to what they do on a broader scale. I talk way too much. I know that. There's no going back. I don't know if that's a positive or negative. It depends on who you are and who I'm talking about and what I'm talking, to them, And the reality of it is that I will try really hard to slow down, not talk a lot, but then it happens. Don't talk about this too much. I didn't talk to anything. I barely touched on it. No, you talked about it for 45 minutes. Wow. I don't do that anymore. So, but bullying has got to be somewhat similar. People think that because I'm very confident that I'm aggressive. It's not. It's not their purpose or intent. And I don't know if maybe some of the bullies are thinking the same thing, that their intent is to, be the top dog and not be fish food, so to speak, and not be the one that's going to be victimized. And they'd rather take the lion's side of the food chain, but at what cost, right?
Intent versus impact.
Right. Well, there you go. Exactly. And then cause and effect is, there's a whole thing on that, right? you get bullied today, and 10 years from now, you become this really big, giant, huge leader doing all these things because you were bullied. And if it had not happened, you'd be working at Safeway. Not saying it's a bad thing, but you wouldn't be in the same motivational charge to make a change in the world necessarily if you don't have something that happens in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my stepdad was killed by a drunk driver after he had recovered from being an alcoholic himself. I did a television commercial for a local police department to help people realize before they drink that they need to find a way to get home, just to stop other people from getting killed. It's just one of those things where I would not have been motivated to produce that had I not had that happen to me. And I know because that was a significant part that happened. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything's a cause and effect. So the question is, how can people that are bullies, that are probably on the line of knowing they're bullies and not realizing they're being a bully, get the right information in the right way to help them know and understand that they need to make a change? I mean, does Brave teach that? I mean, does it teach you as a potential victim how to not only not become a bully yourself, but also to help bullies get the assistance they need in order to stop being bullies?
Brave largely focuses on making sure that kids are taught that respecting everyone is important, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Including the bully.
Including the bully.
Okay.
Everyone deserves respect, and everyone deserves an equal amount of respect. And that is huge when it comes to not being a bully, because
Sure.
you can't bully someone that you respect too much to do that to. And
You wouldn't think so anyway, right?
yeah. And the biggest thing for either pulling yourself out of bullying inclinations or avoiding being a bully entirely
Sure.
are focusing on your impact rather than focusing on your intent.
Okay.
So making sure that before you speak, making sure that how can this be interpreted? How am I going to affect you by saying this thing over here?
Sure.
And focusing on the impact rather than the intent, because your intent doesn't really matter at the end of the day. What matters is how what I said impacted you.
Right, which is funny. We'll tell you about that in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, because how what I said impacted you is what's affecting us now.
Right.
Rather than what my intent was.
Sure.
Because you can't prove intent.
Right.
Like, I could go push over a chair and say, I didn't mean to do that. Whether or not I did, you can't prove.
Right.
You can't prove that I intended to push over that chair.
Right. Well, I mean, the other part of that same too, and you said you were bullied, right? Mm-hmm. Have you been bullied?
Yeah, I have.
You have. We got our microphone going, right? We can hear her. Good. I hope so. Yeah, good. Yeah. So you have in school, in the current school, and we won't go by names or anything like that. It's not important. But do you have any kind of training or anyone helping you manage that, or you just come home and throw things?
I mean, I just talk to my parents, and that's kind of my outlet. That and music. I write a lot of songs.
Sure.
So when I write a song, it's kind of just like about maybe what I went through or some type of emotion I held. So that really helps me, just personally. So,
oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to what you're talking about earlier, intent is it's a fine line, right? Mm-hmm. If you're trying to help somebody, and your intent is to help them, and because of whatever circumstance, your lack of training, the person's beyond help, you physically couldn't do it no matter how much you intended on doing it, at what point do you stop and consider the intent behind an action? Because there is very few things in this world that you could possibly do that you couldn't make as an intent positive and end up being negative and vice versa. Because the word impact is just as much validation in some cases as intent. Yes, a chair. Whether you intended on knocking it over or not, it knocked it over because there's physical evidence the chair is knocked over. But, and I think you probably would agree, especially with bullying, is that the most important thing comes into the physical and mental impact that is made to the person being bullied, probably more so than the bullier. You can't prove that impact any more than you can prove there's intent. You can't prove that I was being a bully, and you can't prove that you were bullied. So it makes it really hard because people like me, I had specialized training when I was an adult that taught me to really flip my mental reality. Not something they teach in schools. So it's a very different world. So not devaluating anything. It's completely valid. It's got all its merit that it's supposed to have for that program. But I think intent, at least from my world, or at least things I've dealt with, is very important as well. Not just the impact. If the impact is real, can be confirmed or physically seen, validated or proven, absolutely that impact is kind of obvious. But when it comes to a personal decision on an impact or on a intent and a personal impact on a, impact of it, it's really hard to say. I mean, I know people that I've sent something positive to and they're taking it badly. And all of a sudden my great intent to be warm and helpful and, giving and trying to be supportive and, to help somebody now gets thrown in my face because they took it wrong, So I guess it's got to be a hard thing. And Brave must have a lot of, professionals. I'm not. So I have those, chicken and the egg complex. I don't know which is, which you put the most stock into. So, but it's a cause that you believe in, and you running on your platform. Are you helping raise money for Brave then?
Brave is a nonprofit. That's not what I do as a title holder. I just spread the message of it. Okay.
Well, some people, I've seen people that have actually gone to fundraisers to help motivate people to donate money. So, but it's all great. It's for the benefit of the community and more importantly for the future communities. And you said there's grade school, there's elementary school as well.
Yeah, we have an elementary title holder, and she is the cutest thing in the entire world. The actual cutest thing.
You open a dictionary, you look at the word cutest, and there they are, right there.
Giovanna Totone, right there.
Oh, there you go. Written out. But I mean, the long term for you as a pageant holder. Let's say you go to nationals and you win nationals with Brave as your cornerstone. Are you going to continue to run for pageants after that?
Yes.
And you're going to keep Brave as your platform, I assume. That's not a bad assumption, but it's not a great assumption. So are you going to keep Brave if you go on to those pageants?
I may. I'm also very passionate about the civil war in Yemen. And don't even get me started on that because I can talk forever.
Check, we're not going to the civil war in Yemen then.
Yeah.
Do you speak Arabic at all?
I do not. I speak French,
you
though.
Probably need to learn that. Just a smidge of it.
A little bit.
That's a lemon. Right? You got to learn a little bit if you're going to learn about Yemen, just so you can understand a little bit. They don't speak full Arabic, but a lot of people speak Arabic there. So. In your personal development life, you're in college now, I'm assuming. It's a bad assumption again, since you're running for collegiate, but you could be not in college anymore, but have a title if you got the title while you're in college, right?
Yeah.
I know people that didn't run for a pageant, they got titles somehow, and it's just magically, I'll take one of those. Yeah. The shiny crown, sash, the one with the jewels on it, I'll take that one. People get their titles sometimes by a Fruit Loop box, and they get handed to them, or the small regions where a director will actually hand them to because they're the only person that applies, and it's small organizations. I run one. I know it's like not quite that small, but for you as a college student, what is your game plan? Are you looking at getting a degree and doing what for a living?
So I am majoring in global studies, which is just like international studies, but not the same thing.
It's round.
It's round.
The whole thing, it's round.
The whole thing. Because
Sorry about that.
They're essentially both degrees are offered at Portland State.
Okay.
International studies, you have to pick a region of focus.
Okay.
Global studies is exactly what it sounds like. It's the whole world.
Sure.
I'm indecisive and I couldn't pick a region.
She's undecided. It's a pair of shoes at Macy's. One's on sale, but she likes the other one better.
And actually, I had that situation the other day. Not even lying.
Why am I not surprised? Is that too close to home? Anyway, so you decided to pick global studies. Sorry, derailed the whole conversation. You went to global studies instead of local.
Yes.
With the intent to maybe go local?
I'd actually like to go into law. I would like to be a contract lawyer with a focus in entertainment.
That's a slight U-turn. I mean, you can get a whiplash from that. So, corporate law specifically at a global level, or are you looking at corporate law?
No, contract.
Contract law, which is corporate, right?
Not always.
Not always.
Yeah, sometimes it's contracts between people. Like a will and testament is a type of contract.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. I was thinking bigger picture, bigger buildings, probably contract could be anything. So
yeah.
Seems to me they're just a little bit disparate subjects. Am I wrong about that? They seem like
you're not wrong.
Yin,
you are not incorrect.
I think I'll have an apple pie.
Pick
a two with almond, right?
You are not incorrect.
But I'm not correct. Notice how she said that. I'm not incorrect, but I'm not correct.
I'm all about how people interact with each other.
Okay.
And contracts have a really big impact on how people interact with each other.
Right.
Because if someone is under contract to do something, that changes how they interact with the person that they're contracted to.
Right.
And that is a subject that fascinates me.
Okay.
I worked for a political campaign a couple of years ago.
Don't say who it's for.
And wasn't planning on it.
Okay.
And it was run by a nonprofit, and I heard all the time about how these different contracts that they had signed weren't actually good for them, and I would like to make sure that people aren't signing contracts that aren't good for them.
Sure, absolutely.
And it's
win-win.
It's very similar on an international scale, wherein people are constantly signing contracts, trade agreements, treaties,
sure,
that kind of thing. And
we do a lot of treaties nowadays. I mean, I gave up Washington. I can say it's a state in the United States. I don't know if I really did a treaty, but I let them be Washington. So I don't know if that's called a treaty. It's more like a rite of passage when I go through it to Canada. But I don't know. It just seems to me that you had like very, very split emotions to the two. But if you want to do contract, which JoJo knows contracts. Have you ever signed a contract before me? Before Teen Idol?
I think so, yeah. I think I've done a few.
Mom will know. Mom.
Yeah.
She signed contracts before, so she knows what a contract is. They had, 13 pages. It was nice. A lot of reading material. They can sleep in between auditions. I guess the question I have for you is, in the whole industry, are you really looking at will and testaments, or are you looking at the bigger table? Because it seems to me that if you're talking in a list of attorneys, you're going to have a certain set of attorneys that will work on warm and fuzzy, aka family laws, wills and testaments. You know, my dog bit him. No, he didn't. Okay, we'll just agree to disagree, right? And then you have the next one that comes up there where you're buying and selling homes or you're buying and selling property contracts. And then you have the little bit bigger where you're selling off businesses and you're selling off, you know, corporations or whatever, and you're doing all this. And then you have the international one where you're talking outside the U.S. borders, where you now have a lot of other things going on. Mm-hmm. And so in that bucket, and of course I'm not saying it right, and that's okay, are you looking at being, you know, closer to the lower end of it, like a discount service type, lower end volume to get paid, or are you looking at the bigger contracts, work on it for 9 months at a time type deal?
Honestly, I'm not sure yet.
Okay, that's fair enough. No. Yeah, that's completely fair. I've been working at the same job for nearly 22 years, and I still don't know why I'm there. Just kidding. But it's still, questions come up every day. So anything that you'd like to leave with the audience about your experience in pageants in general, or things that you learned from it that maybe you didn't realize, keeping it obviously positive, because I know there's things behind the scenes you don't know about until after you've been in a pageant, or any program for that matter. And is there anything you'd like to say to the audience? I mean, you can stare at a camera like that one there has got the red light on top of the focal lens. You can,
okay.
And anything you want to tell anyone that's looking at considering going out for that pageant specifically, or pageants in general?
Well, Mr. Collegiate, I'm giving up my title in August, so hit me up. But I think that pageants get a really bad rap a lot of the time. The only parts that people necessarily see are the ones that are broadcast on TV. And you don't see the interactions of the contestants behind the scenes. You don't see the interactions of the directors and their title holders. So the next time you run into a pageant person, ask them about their pageant friends, and ask them about the things that they're interested in. Because I get so many people who assume that I'm not as smart because I compete in pageants. And I promise, I'm a reasonably smart individual. And there are tons of pageant girls that I know and that I'm friends with who are 1,000 times smarter than I am. And I think that that's a really important message that not everybody gets to hear.
And that's a good point, because Haley Kilgore, which was just up for a Tony a couple days ago, is a former pageant system person, and she's a former Teen Idol. She was the winner of our 2012 season 6 program. And I think I'm smart. I work on a lot of really high technical things for my day job, but I think that she could probably like lose me in a heartbeat. I could probably start following her and no, go ahead, sweetie, go ahead. No, have at it. No, you lost me. You had me at hello. That was it, and pretty much you're right. Being in the pageant system, having met my wife in a pageant system, there are some people that really, truly, honestly fit that mold of they really are there because their husbands are paying for it and they want to get them out of the house. It probably does happen. However, my experience has been overwhelming majority of people that I've met in a pageant system have been warm, friendly, more educated, learned to speak better in public, and are certainly more intelligent. And even just going out for a pageant to get in a title so you can help people is very smart by that own means. So I 100% agree and reinforce that one for you. So Hope McGee, thank you very much. We might get back to you in another few seconds before we get to the end, but I'm going to switch over and harass my other guest.
Have at it. I want to hear what she has to say.
And we'll find out what she has to say. So our next guest, or we mentioned earlier, is JoJo Scott. Welcome. Audio mic'd up and everything.
Yes.
Had to change it out. It's live television, right? Please stand by. We're having technical difficulties. Done it before. We're not going to do it today. So JoJo, you're a student still?
Yeah, I'm a sophomore in high school. So yeah.
Okay. And you were a part of the Teen Idol program, and you had become a finalist. So tell us a little bit about what your experience before you got into the program and what your experiences going into the competition were.
Yeah, so before I got into the program, I was already really involved with music. I had been taking guitar lessons for like 6 years, and I've been singing my whole life.
Sure.
So it's something that I've just loved to do. And music has always just been a great, big passion of mine, and I want to be a musician when I grow up and I get out of high school. I saw a Teen Idol and I was like, that would be a great opportunity to get myself out there more than I already am, because I was already doing performances and stuff. So we like signed up, and I was like really nervous to go to the first audition, but then I went and like I sang for you guys, and it was just so much fun. Everyone I met was like so kind to me and like so nice, and it was just an amazing experience. And
partially because, as a written explanation of that whole thing, is that we're not there to make money off of you.
Yeah.
And so your performance is what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're coming into it with, I want to do great for myself, then that's what ends up happening.
Yeah.
Win, lose, end up in the top 15 or whatever, that's you doing that. You make the choice going into it. And so when you're going through, especially the auditions, we don't care if there's 500 or 10 million people that are already in line. We'll just start weeding them out as we go along by the level of quality of their performance and other aspects of the competition. But you came in there, you did a good job. We got you on to the next round. And how were the competition rounds?
I wasn't there for a few of them because I went to go see my sister graduate. So I don't think I was there for the first semifinal. But every competition I went to, like all of them, were so great. I really got to know everyone who was in the competition, and I formed some like really great friendships, and it was just a lot of fun.
So now the finale, taking the previous steps that were round one, it was pretty simple, straightforward, a cappella. Round two, sing a song, get on stage, get done and over with in a few hours, and then the finale, right? That was a little bit longer than the previous rounds.
The finale was definitely longer, and I don't really like to eat before I perform, so I was just like drinking a lot of water, and everyone was eating, and I was like, I'm hungry, but like it's gonna be okay. Just a few more hours, then I'll be good.
Right.
But it was actually a lot of fun, even though it was long. Like I really got to know people, and we got to like hang out and like just do fun things and like activities before we went on stage to sing.
Right.
Yeah. So
you are living on the west side of Portland, and you had the opportunity to meet students from all over, including Vancouver and I think the closest one was North Marion High School. Her residency requirement put her just barely in the marker to be within our district.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people out in East Multnomah County, because we have several schools that let us do auditions in school. And so you made some really good friends this year?
Yeah, I mean, it was so cool because I met a bunch of people who I wouldn't have met, like, because, like, we don't live in the same area.
Sure.
So, like, getting to know people who have the same passion as me, but, like, live all over, like, Oregon and even a little bit in Washington, like, that was a lot of fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, during the tour itself, you had the opportunity to take what you had learned, what you knew before you got into the program, what you learned during the program. Is there anything specific that came out of the program that are like, wow, a realization that came out of that by chance?
It's just, you always have to, like, work hard. Like, you can't, like,
Sure.
every day I, like, practiced and, like, did the song multiple times that, like, I was planning on performing. And it's really just, like, preparation and, like, practice is key. Like, I would practice, like, oh, what moves am I gonna do on stage? Because, you know, like, I know how to play guitar.
Sure.
So putting the guitar down and just holding the mic, that's a little bit out of my comfort zone.
Sure.
So I feel like I got a lot better at that, too. Yeah.
Gotcha. And now, if you had to do it all again, which
Yes.
you can't, but if you could,
If I could, yes.
would you try out again?
Oh, for sure. It was so much fun. Like, I've gotten so many opportunities because of it. Like, during the finale, I think it was Holly Resnick. She was on the
Yes.
panel of judges. So,
Yes.
I got to know her a little bit, and she is involved with the 1905. It's a downtown club type
Right.
thing. And they had just started open mics, so I went and, like, I started doing that. And I
Sure.
met so many local musicians who have really been, like, backing me up and supporting
Right.
me and helping me through my music journey. So, yeah.
And that's one of our goals of the program too, is not just to, and we don't make obviously any money. In fact, I usually end up paying money to run the program, but the idea behind it is to give students an opportunity that really doesn't exist
Yeah.
anywhere in the city of Portland.
Yeah.
So
Take this out here.
we got a technical problem. I think it's a hair running against the mic. That's part of the problem. It provides a little bit of feedback that happens, right? So you got to get it fixed. So if it's a little bit scratchy, I'm sorry.
I apologize.
Yeah, you apologize. How dare you have hair on the microphone?
I know, right? Too long.
Cut the
Gotta
hair
chop
off,
it
braid it
all
up,
off.
put it
Yeah,
in the bun,
yeah,
you're good. Right? Well, I mean, the idea essentially, as I was saying earlier, it's not just an opportunity for people to come in and sing and then go along their merry way, because we obviously, from a program and a nonprofit agency, we don't really get anything out of it ourselves. But what we do is provide the opportunity for students to get performing, get to talk in public, get
Yeah.
to know people, get to step outside of their comfort zone just a little bit into
Yeah.
an appropriate space. And for those that are serious, and there are some very serious people that come into the program, maybe a little bit too serious at times, hopefully we weed those out. We try to get the people that are serious but not committable type of serious in a bad committable way, and try to get those people that have no professional experience but at least have enough experience where they can go out there and not feel like they're embarrassing themselves. And I think you did a great job. And
thank
I look
you.
around and I see the different posts that you have on social media and showing all the different things that you're doing
Yeah.
and where you're going and what you're doing. The title helps, I'm assuming, and
Yeah.
getting to know people. And that's the whole thing. I mean, we can look back and we can talk to several celebrities in a town that work with each other or one another and know that their first interaction was because we put them together, and that's what we like to do.
Yeah.
We don't want any money out of it, but refer people to our program. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
we'd like to have sponsors. That would be nice to pay for things, as it makes a big difference on our ability to effectively do our job. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that it was beneficial for you.
Yeah.
Now, did that, or has it changed your plans at all for what you want to do for a living?
No, I still want to be a singer-songwriter. I still want to be performing on big stages someday. Like,
Gotcha.
That has never changed ever since I could talk, basically.
Did it help reinforce it a little bit? To
Yeah,
get a little
it
shove
definitely
forward?
did. Yeah, for sure.
Now, is it nerve-wracking when the competition rounds going through who's being cut?
Yeah, that was very nerve-wracking. I was like very scared throughout the whole thing. Not like I'm gonna die scared, but like,
Well, that's
am
good.
am I good enough scared? Like, it was fun though, cause
Sure.
like even though it's like nerve-wracking and like you're scared for part of it, like the like relief and like the joy that you get after
Sure.
you're like, oh my goodness, I did make it to the finale, and I get to
Right.
do like 2 more songs for this competition, and I get to go on tour. Like,
Right.
that is all worth the nerves, everything. It's all worth it.
And that's also something we do differently than other programs too, is that the people that go to the finals, they know they're going to go on tour. And so the nerves of whether or not they get to go on tour is gone.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about that unless
Yeah.
they make a really big mistake or they need to get fired, which, we have contracts. If you don't want to fulfill your obligation, we're more than happy to say goodbye. I mean, there's lots of other people that will line up to take your place. So if that's what you want to do, fine. But for those people that really want to get to where they're going, they're less stressed, I assume, from that. And I guess the long-term goal for you is, do you want to become a household name? Do you want to be another Christina Aguilera, or someone says your name? Oh yeah, JoJo. Yeah, she's a great singer. So personable. Do you want people to talk like that about you?
Oh yes, for sure.
In Denmark
Definitely.
in 10 years.
That is one of my ultimate goals. Yes.
So you're more happy about potentially being famous or being really good and becoming famous?
Being really good and becoming famous.
And that's the right answer, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, you win the prize of not being full of yourself. So,
Yeah.
but it's important to note, because there are people in our program that have gone in the past that have literally replaced common sense in learning their craft and becoming a great artist with politics, trying to get the last word in, trying to be better than everyone else on pictures, not physically, being better than other people.
Yeah.
Not even really trying to be better than other people, just trying to be the greatest artist that they can for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's a wholesome view that a lot of celebrities have a tendency over the years to blur that line a little bit. And then there's some celebrities out there that you can tell that if someone told them not to be the way they were, they'd probably say, yeah, I cannot talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
And so I hope that's something where if it's in the cards for you to become a multi-billionaire, and you're a household name everywhere out there, and we got JJ everywhere, you keep that humble part of you, and that
Yeah.
but the important part for the program standpoint is you learn some things for it. You developed at least a little bit of networking with the people that you had your competition with, and then that led to, by design, potential, hopefully work. And there'll be opportunities this summer because, as we told you before, once you become the top 15, you're part of the family, and you're part of the family until you choose to do something to get you kicked out, or you choose to walk away from it. So, and it does happen, but that's just more opportunity for people that take their job more serious. So you're only a sophomore in high school. Going to be a sophomore or are a sophomore?
I am a sophomore this year. Yeah.
What are your college goals? I mean, what are you going to do, or not necessarily where you're going to go, but unless you have that already defined, but what are your plans? What do you want to do? Well, I mean, where you want to do it. We know what you want to do, where you want to do it.
Yeah. So I'm thinking after high school, I'm not going to do college because I know that it's always going to be an option later down the line if I want to go back and do college. But I really want to focus on my music. Right now I'm working on an EP, and I'm trying to get that out there. And I want to travel and play a lot of shows and try to get that.
You're hoping for the experience part.
Yeah.
Over so than college. Mom, I did not try to talk her out of college, for the record. All right? Don't even think about it. I would never do that. Well.
That sounded fake.
There are rare occasions where I might not necessarily talk someone out of college, but necessarily show them the path that might be as educated or as educating. Use the word, right? I think college can actually help provide a good base only because the people that you'll be working with in a lot of industries have that same college background. And a lot of people that hire jobs in the corporate world anyway, they're looking for people that have the same experiences so that they know what the base is to work off of. But you're going into the different industry. You're going into this is what we talked about at the beginning of this, before we started the show. You're going into an industry where 20 people could try out for a job. All 20 of them be professionals, experienced, IMDb profiles, arm's length, great auditions, all of them lined up. and the producer picks their dumb cousin that has no experience whatsoever. I don't know if they're dumb. They're just their cousin with no experience. So let's go with that one, right? That's not a fair type of deal. I mean, that doesn't sound like something you could really win at.
Yeah.
I got $500. It costs $400. I want to buy it. It says, no, we reserved it for him for $30.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So I would say you might want to reconsider going through at least some college.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it's the lower ones and going into your associate's degree to get to the basics. Maybe add some college courses that might help your job that you're going to be doing, public speaking, accounting, business. My wife is a award-winning makeup artist and hairstylist that's worked with the Obamas. But every day she kicks herself for not taking accounting or business because it is important.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially as an artist to not be taken because you don't understand.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I would think about that. Online courses can be done in Guam. Just saying. University of Phoenix and a dozen other ones, you know, that you can both make those people that think college is important and still get what you want at the same time. And I think you might be surprised on what you learn. I myself, I kick myself all the time. I wish I had stayed in college and got my degree.
Yeah.
I work in a job now where it's not going to help my pay whatsoever to do that. I mean, I have people that have master's degrees that work under me, and I don't have any degree at all.
Yeah.
But I do have a college education. It's just different. And it's not a degree, but I would tell you that I would be in a very different place had I not had that college experience.
Yeah.
So there you go, Mom. There's my plug for you need to still go to college anyway. You like that, Mom? You like that?
My mom is very happy about that.
She will be when you actually go. But
Yeah.
right now it's pretty much lip service, right? But you heard it here first. I did suggest it, and she did nod in affirmative, right? We got the positive, and you're filming this with your phone, so we know that it's on live TV too. So we have it. You can't get away from it this time. But if it does come down to where you decide, you know what, I really, really can't at this time, I need to focus, then I know that myself, you know, as a, I don't know, pseudo mentor and your mom and dad, as people that love you, they really want what's best for you. And if you really, truly, honestly believe that, I don't really see them holding you to the ground and putting a book in your hand and say, do this or not leaving the house again type thing. So I think that ends up being your choice, and that's fine. Foreign language will help you if you really want to go abroad.
That's very true.
So
That's very
those
true.
classes you might decide to want to take in college too. Mom, there's another plug. So it's important, right? And
Yeah, it is.
and the education or secondary education does not necessarily have to be in a form of a degree. It could be in classes. It could be in a, you know, different type of things such as an internship, for instance. And I don't know if you've thought about that as a college student as well, and the fields you want to go into is intern through a law office that already does what you're thinking of doing, and or go to Yemen and say, no, it's too hot here.
That's not the issue. I'm somebody who would much rather be on fire than be even a little bit cold. My issue is that Yemen is currently
You want me
an
near my
active
wife.
war zone. That's my issue.
So Southern California. Okay,
What?
different type of war zone. It's a different one. It's a very different one. That was my attempt to jab the political bear in the room a little bit. It was a wall comment.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I understand.
Sorry,
now.
it was a little too subtle, wasn't it?
Okay.
You can tell I'm not a Republican, right? But it's important if you decide, if whatever job you want to go into, and even for you as well. I mean, Teen Idol was a very, very small step on a very large ladder, and find an opportunity to intern in whatever it is you really want to do and however you want to do it. Music is a big industry. You can be like one of my friends where he works with BMI and try to help with licensing. Another one that knows how to do scoring. Another one that actually does development and does songwriting but doesn't sing to save their life. And you have the voice, but maybe you want to sing and not even do anything more than write. You know, figure out what your niche is going to be, and then go find someone now while you're still in high school where you can go and say, I'm just this lonely little teenager. I'm in high school. I need your help.
Yes, I
get
sound
someone
exactly like that.
You do, on weekdays ending with a Y. And you can get them to do things for you and provide doors to open for you like what Holly did, and give you that opportunity. And she's doing that for you because you probably asked.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, you know, you didn't have to ask. She probably would not have just added or applied it to you. I don't know. She's a very open and honest and a great person, so it's very possible she did. But I know the type of person, and she's the type of person that, generally speaking, if you have the drive and passion to do something, you're willing to pursue it ethically, then you'll come to me and say, hey, if there's any opportunities out there, I'd definitely be interested in hearing about them.
Yeah.
If you don't hear about any, you're not going to get any, but that type of person always hears about something, clearly, and that you're taking advantage of it. And I will tell you that I know for a fact that other people within your year alone that met the same person the same way at the same time doing the same thing did not take advantage of that, is not doing that today, and is not taking advantage of the opportunities that you have.
Yeah.
And you probably know a couple of people, I don't know if you performed with other ones that did, but generally speaking, it's just participating, stepping up, being present. You know,
For sure.
This year's Teen Idol program, or this last year's Teen Idol program you're in, we were a little more flexible on certain things. We wanted you to get certain things done. We wanted you to be at certain places at a certain time, and we were a little bit flexible on the timing. This next season that we have coming up will be a lot different. We literally have a scorecard jacket from the day you audition until you get to the finals. Before, only half of your score was based on your performance at the finale.
Yeah.
Next year, it's only be like 30%. So all of your ability to win Teen Idol, to be in the top 15 even, and to get in top 5 at the finale itself, is going to be a culmination of everything that happens from after you audition, excuse me, from your audition forward. It's like a horse now. In all the times you performed, how has your preparation changed from before Teen Idol to now after Teen Idol, or has it made a difference for you?
It has made a difference. I definitely make sure that I go through my set list multiple times before I go play places, because I think it's definitely important to like know your material like really well, and to like be prepared for when you go to like do something, because you want to be seen as a professional, especially since I'm only 16. Like, some people don't think I'm a professional yet.
Right.
So I definitely try to make sure that like everything is like set up, like I'm good to go, and like I can be there on time, and I can do all the things that they've asked for me and more, you know?
Right. And you make a good point, because a few years back we had a former winner judge a round 1 competition. That former winner was 15 years old, and we had some people competing in the competition that were 18, some that had been in the system for a while, some people that just came to the program. And during our break, I literally overheard one of the parents say, how can this kid judge my daughter when she's not even older than she is? And what gives her the right to judge? Which after that, we changed it to have to be 18 to judge. But that was only just for the status quo, not because we shouldn't have done it. At the end, we actually had, for purposes of example, that judge go up and perform a song. And when she got done performing, that parent came back later and apologized to me for thinking that. Even though I don't know if they really knew I heard them or I found out about it. But the reality of it is we proved her worth.
Yeah.
And so many people do that. I don't care if you're 10 years old, you could be Einstein.
Yeah.
You could be the best at something, even at 10, because of your brain or because of your experience or your time or whatever. I know people that are my age, even me myself. You put me in the right room, I'm an idiot. I'll be the first person to say it. Go ahead and sing that song for me. Yeah, there's a noise ordinance that prevents me from singing in this county, right? I'll do it. I'll make a fool out of myself, and everyone watching will be plugging their ears. But I don't even pretend, even at my age, that I can sing. And I know, based on running Teen Idol, that there's tons of very talented people out there. And I try very hard not to discriminate against people based on their age, based on their backgrounds, based on anything.
Yeah.
And the more time goes on in my life and the more I get around people, the more discrimination I see. You know?
Yeah.
Well, he's white. There's one. No. She's a performer. She's a pageant girl. You know, he's a kid. Whatever. There's all these stereotypes out there, and people just flat out judge them.
Yeah.
It's not like get to know them, be able to experience them, get to see what they are about, etc., and be able to get a realistic look at who that person is in that particular arena, and say, well, it's not really a judgment, it's more of an assessment. You know, it's like, well, I saw you do 3 things, you did all 3 of them like I think is wrong, so therefore you are not good at these 3 things. That doesn't mean you're wrong with 5 or 6 other items just because you're wrong with those other ones, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that's one thing we're trying to teach some of the students. I mean, different people have different needs. You're a low need person because you already have your stuff together.
Yeah.
There's other students that, you know, you may not know it, but we took in the back room and talked to because they needed it. There's ones in the previous years where we've actually let people go. We've cut them, but they were already knew that they were going to get cut because of their attitude, because of, you know, inappropriate words or being mean to other contestants and things like that. Something pageants, you know, I don't know if pageants do that. Typically they go based on scores and what the judges see. They don't have as much opportunity to go by the collective attitude. I know that there's, no matter what job you're in, whether it be pageants or even working in a bank, there's always those people that will try to cut the system and try to make it believe that they're better than you at the system that they're breaking. But from a positive end of it, you got a lot out of the program.
Yes, for sure.
You know that it was a good stepping stone towards your future and what you plan on doing. And the purpose of this particular show, the Independent Producers Organization, is to help put light on the different things that producers are doing. And so you have a producer that's creating your pageant. We're looking at a future Teen Idol pageant as well. Sometime, probably not next year, but maybe the year after that. A little different from the funding side of it, but definitely somewhat similar in the concept of it, but more designed to get people into public speaking, not actually pageants. And then on top of that, you know, producing Teen Idol. Anyone that's ever produced a program where it's a single day, show up and do your thing, realize that it's complicated to do a single day event, you know?
For sure.
You got to get people all together. They got to be on time. They got to deliver everything they're supposed to deliver. And if they don't deliver it, how important was that? I don't know. If you show up and the sound system people don't show up, you kind of have to fill that void. So you have to be ready to fill in a sound system. Every competition that I came to, not this last season because we were using schools, we knew I had it, but in previous years where we're showing up at different venues, I brought my own equipment just to make sure we had our own equipment.
Yeah.
Right. So we're running out of time now, so we're about wrapping up our end of the day there. But thank you very much, Hope. Appreciate you coming on. JoJo, appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're absolutely welcome.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. And my name is Dennis Gleason. And again, thank you for watching Independent Producers Organization. Have a great day or evening, whichever it may be.
Okay, we're back. It's finally organized. I hope you enjoyed that first hour.
It was good, Rich. Yeah, it was good.
Teen Idol.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why don't you?
Well, in this segment, you know, you said that maybe what we might want to do this time around is that just recently President Trump just signed off on this bill about now putting services available to veterans outside of the VA system.
So talking more
huge.
About that.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that piece, but the other thing is that we still have major issues with reference to PTSD, and also, as you know, Anthony Boudin just recently committed suicide, and that's a big issue. And as a result of that, in the military part of it, as far as PTSD, some 25 veterans plus every day is committing suicide.
Yeah.
And so we thought we'd spend some time on that, because while they are sort of adjusting, trying to, i.e., get this new system in place using outside sources to respond, that's going to be quite of a gap, because we spent so much time trying to deal with the issue of PTSD and issues like that, mental illness, under the roof, if you will, under the VA system. Mm-hmm. And so now there's going to be so much change. They really don't know where that is. I mean, they've got a new director also too for the VA. So, but the fact that the money's there, the transition is there, but the whole idea now is that there's an issue of PTSD, and the idea is to take advantage of this opportunity.
Better say what that PT.
Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah. Right.
Post-traumatic stress.
Some people still don't know.
Yeah. So. Well, no due respect, it's called mental illness. I mean,
right.
after the conflict. Yeah, after the conflict, you know, people have been having this, and that's what we're going to be discussing and maybe identify some of those things. Okay. And that's one of the reasons why our guest tonight, you recognize both of these individuals. They've been on Oregon Voters Digest a number of times with me on other issues and whatever. But Don DuPay, who's in the Navy, and you can check out some of the history stuff on the Oregon Voters Digest. It's going to get a little bit more background of who Don is, but he really emphasized that piece. I'm also PTSD in myself aspect of it. You know, I did my turn in Nam and whatever, but Don is a very interesting figure, because he took his PTSD. He's still working on it, like anything else. Mm-hmm. It's something that doesn't leave you forever, for that matter. But what he did is that he went back to school. And he finished school, and he's written a book, and his wife, who's here with us today too, Teresa is here with us too. She's also a writer in her own right, you know, and then she's pretty well attached, because she did a lot of the editing of this situation. So my point, and they're still telling that story. Don is still telling the story, and then after I take advantage of it because now we've developed a relationship aspect of it. I've just recently ran for office. And that's been kind of like my way of just staying busy. And like you know, you're staying busy, you know what I mean, right here on your show.
We need to get you in office.
Okay, well, that's right now. Well, we're in now. I mean, the short term was fine. The primary was just great. Don and I agree with that. And so we're still talking about it every day. There's some issues. That'll be another piece. But the point of it is, this particular show, we're going to spend a little bit more time on Don, and talk to in terms of how his relationship and how he's related PTSD in terms of solutions, and what are some of the other areas that he's having to deal with on PTSD from the standpoint of getting the service to respond to his conditions, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be I think it's going to be good. And then Teresa's here too, because she lives with him every day. and so my point, that's good. So. Because most of these guys, no due respect to who basically commit suicide in many ways, they have no companion.
Yeah.
They have no companion, and you'll find that the majority of those guys who are committing suicide, in most cases, they're just living lonely lives. Mm-hmm. He's fortunate in this case, so we're kind of like saying, we're talking about the issue, but at the same time, we're also kind of like saying, hey, you got to get someone in your life if you can. We're going to also talk to kind of somewhat of a solution, because it's a very difficult situation. We don't have all the answers. So that's the show tonight, folks. So here we go. All right?
All right. Now, can you tell a little more about this money that Trump, you said, approved?
Right.
Describe that.
Right. What that money was all about was that there was all this issue about the number of vets that were in line trying to get their services, get their medical issues dealt with, and a lot of times they were all lined up and whatever within the system, and there's been a major issue. In fact, as a result of that, President Obama had the same problem. and all of the presidents, and then Trump got into the area, and then he got in there, and he basically just said he hit that piece, and it was a timely kind of a deal, and I think it was about 40 or 50 billion dollars, a lot of money, but he's putting it all out there. But they got their problems too. Got my point? But it's not going to be a quick fix, and Don's going to talk a little bit about that tonight, because I remember not too long ago, before he signed that piece, I too was going outside for a moment, and I didn't like the services that were being provided, and so I just went right back to the VA, because I felt that the issue was on the table, and now that's just as my thought. I mean, you're sure the $50 billion, but I think it was getting to the table and getting to the folks, and they were doing things like making sure that they were hiring as many vets, prior vets, into the system, and that was helping quite a bit, because a lot of guys just don't want to talk to anybody unless a person has been there. You got my point? And so that transition was happening. So the bottom line is we got a new programming deal, but at the same time is that hopefully a show like this is going to kind of, hopefully folks will be able to see it. We want parents, we want husbands, we want wives and husbands, because women also are involved in PTSD also too, because they were part in that whole essence. So hopefully we're going to try to see if we can kind of help out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It'd be nice if they tried to contact us by contacting the studio and such as that.
Right.
That'd be fine.
Right. And you're going to also get this on YouTube, right?
Right. It goes on YouTube supposedly tomorrow.
Okay, good. Gonna get it on YouTube, and so you can maybe share it with your loved ones and whatever, your relatives and this, that, and the other. So with that, why don't we just jump right on into the show and introduce the guests.
There.
Are we here right now? Well, we got Don DuPay over here. He's former Navy, and we'll let him spend a little time talking about himself and when he was in the Navy and how he sort of transitioned back into. We've done this before, but it's good to do it again, Don, and then kind of give us an updated deal in terms of how he feels now, and then we'll bring Teresa in there and how she relates to that whole piece and what she's doing, and she's doing a marvelous job, because in all due respect, we'd both be happy, probably me and him, if Teresa and someone like my wife is not involved. My wife's very much involved also too. John, go on, open up.
Well, PTSD is what they call post-traumatic stress disorder, and they seem to have an illusion that it's curable. I don't share that illusion, because any memory that's in your head, whether it's a good memory when you're a kid, you remember what your mom and dad did and the fun times, those things are stuck in your head. So the bad things are stuck in your head just as much as the good things are stuck in your head. So will it ever go away? I don't think so. So you have to deal with it, I think that all these veterans that are committing suicide are certainly have some kind of PTSD that was never treated. And the VA seems to do its best, from my experience, to get in the way of veterans getting the services. I was in a war they've practically forgotten about. It's called the Cold War. Back when we weren't shooting at each other, but we were seriously spying on each other. And there was a lot of tension in the world. And I happened to be stationed in a place that was strategically located in Germany, because it was close to the people we wanted to snoop on. So it was a constant threat of extinction, and that's what caused my PTSD, is the threat every day for over 2 years of having the guillotine come down and chopping your head off.
But Don was also, Don and his friend Bob Christie were basically ambushed by two German soldiers in the Harz Mountains and held at gunpoint, machine guns drawn, for over an hour. So he had a couple traumatic experiences in Germany that go beyond just the day-to-day fear.
The communist zone line, they just drew it right through the middle of Germany somewhere, and sometimes it goes through the mountains and sometimes it didn't. And we were driving around on a nice day, just enjoying the scenery in the mountains, and stumbled onto the communist zone accidentally. And here we are, guards in green uniforms pointing machine guns at us, dragging us out of the car, threatening us. And I didn't speak a lot of German in those days, but I remembered some of the German. I knew what tot meant. It meant dead. and then the Dummkopf, shithead, stupid, kill. That's all I heard. That's all we heard. And then they drag us off down a mile-long trail towards what we thought was our destruction and our death. So, as it turned out, they turned us over to the British Frontier Service, which also had a station right there on the communist zone. So we were lucky, and they were lucky. The guards were lucky because the two of us kids were 25 years old, 22 years old, and there was no way that I was going to die in a gulag. So I always figured that we had the advantage, a surprise. They were behind us with machine guns. I was in front of them, turn around, push the machine gun away, gouge out their eyes, do whatever it took to survive. So that's what one of my issues is now. And the problem with the VA is they say, well, you weren't in combat. I don't think combat really has a lot to do with the amount of stress that you're under.
Yeah.
So that was just one of the incidents, and then just being in that very position. I'd like to bring up the Pueblo, since it's in the news right now with Trump being in North Korea. The Pueblo was a spy ship, and it was operating in international waters off Korea, listening to what was going on the Korean Peninsula. It was attacked by the North Korean boats, and it was attacked by the North Korean boats, and it was an AGR, which is not very fast. There was no way they could outrun these speedboats that the Koreans were using, so they ultimately shot at it because they tried to run, didn't make it. So there was a couple of sailors that were killed. The boat was captured. It was hauled back to where it sits now. The CTs on board were all imprisoned and tortured. And the government did nothing, absolutely nothing, to go get that ship and help them out.
The U.S. government, yeah.
Our sailors were just left out to dry. Back 50 years ago now, let's go back to the USS Liberty, which was attacked in open waters by the Israelis. Those were CTs too. There was 100 and some of them killed. And the government has done nothing about it yet today. So they're causing a lot of PTSD. What they did to me and us guys was these 17 of us, if the communist zone, if the war had turned hot, we were defenseless. The 17 of us were defenseless there. All they had to do was come up to the beach. We were right on the water. All they had to do was march up the beach and take us over. We had instructions to blow up our stuff, burn it, get in the van. We didn't have a van. That was a problem. We didn't have a van. And escape as best we could to Kiel, which was something like 20, 25 miles away. 17 of us, first problem. We have a Navy sedan, 6 people at the most. The other vehicle was a 2.5-ton truck with an equipment van on the back, maybe 3 people. We had no armament. A .30 caliber carbine was our only weapon, and some of us had a couple of .45s. We were left that way. So that's what would have happened to us. And looking back, how lucky I was that I didn't get captured and killed, because we were left out there, like the Pueblo was left out there, like the Liberty was left out there. So they created my PTSD.
Don has a lot of resentment because of that. Because you think of the other armed services and how they go through these really heroic efforts to, save.
No man left behind.
Yeah, but not
Marines,
seemingly not.
No
with,
man left behind.
Right.
They left all these Navy guys behind. They didn't give a shit.
And we've had struggles also with just trying to get Don all of his benefits, the services he needs. Dental is a big one. And we discovered, to our dismay, after I did some research, that the Veterans Administration and AARP promotes this dental plan called Delta Dental, and it's terrible. you can't get through. I spent an hour trying to get through on the phone. You can't get through. And I jotted down some reviews here. June 3rd.
If you don't have 100% disability, you don't get dental.
Right.
So they will refer you to a dental service,
Yeah.
and this is what they refer you to, which is fraudulent operations.
The same as not doing anything.
Not doing anything.
Well, basically, and
Yeah.
some of the reviews, the reviews, there's 265 page, 206, there's a couple hundred pages of reviews or something like that. But anyway, one of those reviews is dated June 13th, 2018. Don't waste your money. You will pay more on premiums than you'll get back in service or on what they cover. May 2nd, don't buy dental insurance with Delta Dental. You'll be sorry you did. Their insurance is worthless. And then another one is from April 29th of this year. My advice is to stay as far away as you can from this den of thieves. All these reviews that I kept reading, they would say over and over again, they'll take your premiums. If you cancel with them, and they have access to your bank account, they'll still take your premiums. They only offer limited service. They lie. They make promises they can't keep. They're terrible, Delta Dental. So AARP is promoting Delta Dental. The Veterans Administration is promoting Delta Dental. You can't get through on the phone.
Was there MetLife too? Was that the
right,
other?
The other
MetLife
one.
Was the other one, yes.
Yeah, but you can't even get through on the phone. It's a scam. It's substandard, and so veterans, even though I think a year ago or a year and a half ago, there was this new change to the law that, oh yeah, you can get dental now, but it's with Delta Dental. They're substandard. You can't get through to them, and so he still, to this day, is not getting the dental care that he needs.
Well, you know, the point you make is what we were just talking about on the front end. So the standpoint of who's going to be checking on these entities
right.
to make sure that the vets are getting
Yeah.
receiving the services.
Yeah.
That's the major concern. And now we're talking about taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
That's big money.
Yeah.
If you have a complaint, if you try and file a valid claim against the vet, you're supposed to go to their website.
Right.
Oh, that's
and
another thing.
As
Yeah.
soon as you get onto their website, it's
The VA website is
it's designed to make you mad and have you and
It's-
absolutely
okay.
screw you up.
So I'm 52 and I'm fairly internet savvy. I can navigate most websites, but I couldn't navigate this website. It's not intuitive. It's an old design. And so for someone in their 70s or 80s,
Yeah.
they're not going to have any.
Are you talking about HealthNet now?
No, it's not
the
HealthNet,
Veterans
it's-
Administration website,
It's your
.gov
claim
something.
service type
Okay.
website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Claim
And they
service
say,
type.
oh yeah, just go to the website and you can get all the information you need. You can download copies of your records, but you can't even get through to it. I mean, it's a joke. You
And the
know.
veteran service officer that's helping me with my claim, state employee, she can't negotiate the website.
Yeah, and
So she says, don't even try.
she's about 23, and this is
So-
an internet savvy girl. You know, like a lot of millennials. She's very
Are they
young.
deliberately setting up obstructions?
Yes.
It looks like it.
To make it difficult so people of a certain age just give up. You know.
Well, see,
I never hooked up with AARP.
Yeah. Now you see,
And it's just insurance.
the point you were making in regards to the record keeping aspect of it, they did come out with this so-called system that supposedly is supposed to provide you with your jacket,
Yeah, health
which
net,
is
yeah.
called HealthNet.
Yeah.
See, and supposedly it's right there for you. It's just like the whole jacket routine. But like you say, the difficulty is trying to be able to use it. And that's it. Then when you start digging into it, then you start thinking about, is it all there or is it not all there? And your point about the fact that if you don't have that background to know how to use that piece of equipment, you're in pretty
There's
bad
another
shape.
obstruction. The VA hires vendors to make appointments.
Yeah.
And the vendors call you up and say, my name is so-and-so from such and such a company,
Right.
and I'm here to make an appointment for the veterans.
But they don't know what it's about.
They don't know
Yeah.
anything
And don't
about it.
speak
and then-
English.
It's
No,
called
Yeah,
it's
That's the other
called
issue. that bothers me.
QTC, Quality Timeliness Center.
yes,
Yeah.
that's the
Is-
name
And
of the
we've
Is
had
it all
an issue
U.S.
with
now?
them.
Is it all U.S. now? I mean, is it,
Yes, I think this place was in like the South somewhere, but it is. It's all
it's all U.S. now?
yeah.
Okay, it's not outside like the other kind
no,
of
it's
services.
not.
No,
It's
but
not
they
like
still-
East Indian people on
They
the
still
phone.
don't
No.
know. They still don't know how to negotiate the system. It
It's
still doesn't work.
ridiculous, and so we had an issue with his claim because he's experiencing a lot of hearing loss because of his time in the Cold War with
Right.
the headphones on. He was a ditty chaser. He was a spy, and so he's got a claim for that, and also for PTSD. And we had to deal with this company, this vendor that the VA hires, QTC. and it was a disaster. And they accused us of canceling, of not agreeing to go to this appointment, which never happened. They accused us of saying something that we never said. And I was so angry that I called the VA claims line, and I talked to someone, and I said, I want a phone number that I can call to file an official complaint, because these people are lying. And as far as I'm concerned, they're trying to sabotage his success with this claim. So I found
that was the ultimate result, was they canceled the claim and sent it back to the VA. And then when she called to find what happened to it, they said, oh, well, now we're going to have to investigate it.
No,
but here's the vendor that canceled my claim.
They canceled the appointment. No, they didn't cancel the claim.
But they sent it back.
They sent the appointment back. But
the vendors.
It is. I mean, it's really confusing, and it's not just QTC. It's another company. They hire vendors for all of these things that you'd think the VA would just have their own employees be doing. But I found this number. It's called the White House Veteran Administration Complaint Line, and it's in Washington, D.C. It's 855-948-2311. And we called it, and I talked to the man for probably 35 minutes, and he said that he's going to investigate, and he said that he's a veteran. He said he was a veteran himself, and he's dealt with this before, and because of Don's age, he said he would make it a priority 1 investigation. But the problem is the Veterans Administration makes it really difficult for veterans, especially if they're older, to get the services they need. And it's really frustrating, and so I have to kind of be Don's advocate.
Right.
No wonder so many of them are committing suicide. They can't negotiate the system.
Well, and I might add too, at this point in time too, I sort of play a role to a certain degree, because I happen to have known Don, and I also, because of those issues, created an entity called Oregon No Vets Left Behind, Oregon aspect of it.
You're a nonprofit.
A nonprofit, but I knew Don because I interviewed him when he ran for sheriff.
Right.
And so we had a relationship, but also as a result of that, I knew he was in the Navy. And then all of a sudden, that's how he sort of got in. And as you know, what we did was that we physically went down there together. And that's another area too that helps out quite a bit, making sure that they bring someone with them, if you will.
You helped us. You were really helpful, Bruce.
But you're helping now, and that's what we're doing now. We're helping now because here's a good example. But check this out. Now, Don went through the Pueblo. He talked about this issue, that, and the other. A lot of times he wouldn't share that. You know, but because you were there with him, and you pulling this stuff out of him, and then following up on it, and then that helps out quite a bit. That really helps out, because now Don is able to relate to that stuff, and hopefully the folks will understand what the issue that we're having here. We've got to make sure we got some sort of a process.
Here's another one.
Yeah, go on.
I have an appointment with my veteran service officer in Hillsborough. Works for Washington County, not a veteran employee. I called the veterans line and said, hey, I need a ride out there, and the veterans would give me a ride. Where do you want to go? Well, I need to go out here to Hillsborough to the veterans office. Sorry, we can't take you. It's not a veteran facility.
Yeah, that's another thing.
But I've been recommended, and you won't give me a ride there? Somebody should explain that to me. How does that work? I have to go there to see the veteran service officer, and the veteran won't give me a ride there because they're not connected to the VAA. That's just so much garbage, Bruce. Richard, that's just so much bullshit.
This was the issue last week when we were dealing with this company calling to make the appointment. He had his ears tested 8 weeks ago, and they were saying, oh, they need to test his ears again. I said, well, but they were already tested, a 2-hour test 8 weeks ago. And she said, well, they need to test. Well, what's it about? Well, I don't know. You'll have to call the VA. So I said, okay, before we make this appointment, we have to call the VA.
This is the outside provider.
The outside provider. And what they said was, they wanted us to go to Sherwood, to a place we've never been to, and we're not familiar with Sherwood, and we were, at the time, we were a little low on gas. And I said, well, why can't you make the appointment over in Northeast Portland, where it was made 8 weeks ago, over off Gleason, I think, or off Sandy Boulevard.
I can find that place.
Right, and they said, well, that's booked up until the end of June. And then she says, and you know what, we're qualified to make an appointment for any kind of an appointment up to 100 miles away from where you live. And I said, really? I said, but my husband's 82 and he's the only one who drives. We're supposed to drive 100 miles away from our house to get to this hearing aid, this hearing appointment. Yeah, and then she said, I finally found out it wasn't to test his hearing again, it was to talk about his tinnitus. And when we had gone in 8 weeks ago to have his hearing tested, the hearing specialist said there's no way to test for tinnitus. So it's just another way, we feel it's another way for the VA to just slow things up and make it really difficult for this to be resolved, because as far as I'm concerned, they want to get out of paying him any kind of money for the fact that he has PTSD, which he's been diagnosed 3 times with PTSD, and he was diagnosed, I think the earliest was 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even back to 2010.
Yeah, 2010 he was also diagnosed. It's very frustrating.
So they're thinking, how far do we have to go back? How much money are we going to have to pay him? Maybe he'll die first.
Yeah, and it's clear that the VA, as far as we're concerned, it feels like they're just trying to prolong this so that it won't be resolved, because they're trying to save the VA money. You know, meanwhile, these are services and benefits he's entitled to. You know,
I'm convinced that my PTSD will never go away. However, I would sure like to get paid for it. As long as I can't get rid of it, please give me some money for it. That will make it better.
This is another thing I feel strongly about. Okay, so I'm 52, and I have health care through Care Oregon, basically the Oregon Health Plan. So I get medical and I get dental. I've been able to go to the dentist 3 times in the last year and have my teeth cleaned and have 2 tiny bits of decay, you know, taken care of. Don's 82. Almost this June 30th, he'll be 82. He's a veteran. He was a police officer. He was a police detective. He served his country as a soldier and as a police officer, and he doesn't have dental insurance. And then they say, oh yes, but we've got Delta Dental, but you can't get them on the phone. It's ridiculous. It's a shame. It's shameful that someone who's contributed as much as Don has, not only to his family and to his friends, but someone who's served the community of Portland, Oregon, and the country the way he has, doesn't have dental insurance. And yet I have dental insurance, and what have I done in my life? I've been married 2 or 3 times. I've got myself through college. I feel very unworthy that I have dental insurance and I can get all kinds of dental work done. Fortunately, I don't need very much done at all. And yet Don, who's accomplished a lot more than I ever have, doesn't even have dental insurance.
Well, imagine if you weren't there. I mean, that's a fact, you know, and my mate basically does the same thing with me. Watch out for me in terms of the food I eat, things of that nature, and my medical when I was just on the medical plan aspect of it, and I would not have known anything about the services that were being provided by the VA had it not been for another veteran who introduced me to the system. You see what I mean? And I guess, and that's one of the reasons why we're having this show. We got a problem, you know, and hopefully this will get back to President Trump. Now, I mean, he's just a one-man operation aspect of it, but that's a lot of money that's going to be spent out there. And the key is that if this is going to just be money just thrown into the table, and the vets are still going to be in the same situation that they're in, because this is what we're talking about, folks. And so we got an election going on right now. Get this message out there. I mean,
I know a friend of mine, he's a writer in Portland, Sean, and he's also a veteran, and he's having issues getting help with his medical, because I think he may have some kind of issue with diabetes. He's having an issue getting help through the VA, getting the proper medical care he needs.
And the public is committed to this. The public is saying, hey, we want to make sure that our veterans get served. I mean, that's a fact. But it's still a money thing. It's a money thing. Who's watching the house? Who's going to be basically making sure that those dollars are going to be spent for the vets? You got me? And it's almost like the pharmaceutical arena. Look at where we are now. I mean, no due respect. I mean, I had to go get some pills for my wife on some her medical issue aspect of it, and they were talking about over $100 and some bucks.
Sure.
And I'm sitting there saying, well, what about just the average Joe? You know, I mean, I'm not a millionaire, but the bottom line is that, you know, they can't get it. And then people are dying every day.
Right.
And we're not dealing with these kinds of issues that are very, very important. A lot of these folks have done whatever they could do to get up to a certain age. What are you going to do? Just, excuse the French, open up the oven and just, I mean, they'd be better off in many ways. I hate to put it that way. I mean, I don't want to be suffering on my back, you know, just playing the old game of suction tubes and all that other stuff.
You know, what shocked me last week was I talked to 3 people. I talked to a man and 2 women with this QTC company. And one of the women lied, and she typed in some information on her computer and she lied, and that was what made me furious. And that was why when I called the VA back, I said, I want a number where I can call and complain. White House VA complaint line, 855-948-2311. And I called it and I spoke to a man for 35 minutes and I told him.
And where was he? Where was he? What location?
In
DC?
In DC.
In DC.
Yeah, and and I said, this woman claims that, this was what got me, this was what just blew my mind. This woman said, well, you said that you and your husband, you refused to travel more than 2 miles from your home. And I laughed and I said, what are you talking about? The Fred Meyers is more than 2 miles away from our home.
Right.
It was bizarre, and I was so furious that when I called and I spoke to this man with the White House VA complaint line, he said his name was Steve. I talked to him for 35 minutes and I told him, whoever said that, they lied. I mean, they made this bold-faced lie that Dawn and I refused to travel more than 2 miles. I was flabbergasted. And that's when that happened. That was when we sat down and we were talking, and we really wondered, are they really trying to sabotage his claim? It makes you wonder, you know, when something like that happens, because we would never. I was trying to work out making this appointment, but she absolutely refused to consider making the appointment anywhere else but in Sherwood. And we didn't know how to get there, and I didn't know what it was for. It was just so bizarre. And it was more than just a simple misunderstanding. It was, somebody lied, you know. So, yeah.
Well, that's the problem. And then one of the things I want to do is get back to talk to, again, where are some of the solutions, you know, for Don and folks like myself and all of us for that matter that are into that arena. And I brought him on purposely because, you know, he went back to school and he was busy along that line, but in all due respect, he had to pick up the tab on the front end. You know, that wasn't service, well, it should have been service related too, to a certain degree. And they do have a service that you can go through the voc ed deal and actually go to your plan, but he didn't know anything about that at that point in time. You got my point? Yeah. See, so my point is that he did go to school, he did graduate it, and now he's a writer and this, that, and the other, so he can articulate to a certain degree. And that's one of why, like I said, I may be a little bit redundant in aspect of it, but I want you to spend a little bit more time, Don, in regards to your benefit as a result of the things that you've accomplished. At least you've accomplished something in life.
Well, you have to keep, you know, the thing about retirement is you can't do it. Retirement will kill you off, especially if you have problems, you know, with the military. The best way to deal with it is to keep busy. So I'll tell you, the best way to keep your head busy is to go back to college. I'll tell you, each class has about 5 books they want you to read and reflection papers to write, and so your mind is all overwhelmed for the time that you get through school. So I had my mind overwhelmed for 4 years at PSU, Portland State University, and that kept my mind busy. And in the meantime, I'm writing this book, and got that out there. I'm writing another book. I'm a writer, so that's how you keep busy. Keep your head busy.
It's not just a book. It's something that you were familiar with.
Yeah, it's history.
Talk about that a little bit.
It's a history book.
It's a history book of some of the things that you did.
Yeah, I did. Well,
Behind the Badge in River City.
Behind the Badge in River City, Portland, Oregon.
Portland Police Memoir.
I read it. It was a good book, and it's an easy read. I mean, my point is, I related to it just right off the bat. It's a good read.
It's a page turner.
Yeah, it's a good
about
read.
Albida in the old days.
And the other good thing about that book, and I got excited about it, like I said, it was Albina, Northeast Portland, and we constantly, I hear people, even in the police department and mayors and whatever, talking about community policing, but they don't know what's going down. And I even approach them from the standpoint of saying, hey, look here, I've got someone on the show. I mean, look at the show and get the book. I mean, let's really talk about community policing aspect.
I think a lot of people, including a former guest I had, Jesse Sponberg, a lot of people mistakenly believe that this is a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Don knows a couple people that wrote books. One of them, one law enforcement officer, he was actually the Portland chief, I think Ron Still wrote a book called Out of the Blue, and you can't even find it on the internet. That's definitely a pat on the back. It's just, we were all heroes, nobody did anything wrong, I'm so great. It's not really a very good book. I've kind of perused through it. You can find copies of it at the Archives and Record. Oh, no, it's not on Amazon. No, not that book. But Don's book is available through barnesandnoble.com. And but the thing about this book that's important is really the theme of the book is the arc of burnout. But the other message of this book, because it really is a period piece, you know, he was on from 1961 to 1978. The other message of this book is that law enforcement, police work doesn't change. The only thing that's changed is the technology, and that was basically Don's main message. The police work in this book is as fresh and vivid 50, 60 years ago as it is today. I mean, it's the same thing. So police work doesn't change. The only thing that has changed is the technology. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of examples of the technology impacting police departments across the country and their ability to do their job effectively. And sometimes they should go back to the old ways. Don feels really strongly about, you know, the chokehold. I think more people have died from tasers in the last 20 years than people died of the chokehold. I mean, you know, the situation that happened in 1988 with the black man that died. Tony Stevenson. Tony Stevenson,
Marine too.
Yeah, that was a very rare incident, and that's when they kind of outlawed the chokehold. But the chokehold was a really effective way of dealing with resistors.
What irritates me now is you see constantly on the news or on YouTube 4 or 5 policemen jumping on one person. A pig pile. And I don't relate to that because we never pig piled anybody. You know, there was just no argument. If you were under arrest, you were under arrest. And if you didn't go, you were unconscious on the ground in about 3 seconds. And you woke up handcuffed. You know,
you got a headache.
We had the chokehold. And that's not a good term, but that's the way it looks. It's actually a carotid hold. And once you shut off the blood supply, they're going to go unconscious. But I worked alone for a long time on the street. There was no way that I got hired to wrestle with people. And so the law is the law. I enforced it equally and properly. And if you didn't like it, that's tough. And if you argue with me, you're going to get choked out and you're going to go to jail. So that's just the way it was. And if we went back to that, there'd be less people hurt. Can you imagine how many policemen get hurt piling on somebody, getting beat up or wrestling around? That's not good for law enforcement. There's got to be a better way, and there is, and there was. Sometimes we just need to go back before we.
Well, I think about the shooting things too. You know, it's kind of like shoot first and then talk later.
There's definitely
that's an attitude. Yeah, it's kind of. And I'm looking at these guys. You know, even at my age, you know what I mean. I've been around guns too. You know, in the Marine Corps, we've been around guns. If anything, we knew guns. And but the thing about it is this: it's just the attitude. I mean, I'm kind of. As I see these incidents and I hear these people talking about training aspect of it. Training, okay, well, and then I saw this incident with the homeless guy. You remember the homeless guy that was shot, and supposedly he had a weapon of some sort. But my point is that 10, 15 cops sitting up there just looking at the guy. I mean, there chairs or anything else. I mean,
I agree with that.
You know, I'd shot him in the leg or something. If that's the case, I wouldn't shoot him in the leg. I had a stick. I mean, I'd weigh him out. He couldn't attack me with no damn knife. And if I got the stick and this, that, and the other, I couldn't understand.
When Don was a cop, they were encouraged to wrestle a man who had a knife. They were encouraged to wrestle him down. They weren't encouraged to neutralize the threat unless he had a weapon like a gun. But now police are trained, if someone has a knife, you're supposed to kill him. And they're following their training.
But that's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
But my point is that even at my age at this point in time, if I got a gun, I got security to start with, and I got a nightstick or something, and I've got all this other gear on there, I'll take the knife. My point is that I'll hit him upside. I'll do something, but he'll get rid of the knife. It just bothered me about that, and I'm just a lay person right now.
You know what's a good weapon is a chair.
Yeah.
Lots of times I picked up a chair, a beer bottle tiger, on the ground, up against the car, whatever. A mattress, a chair, another body.
Yes. In fact, on that note, and I know this is a little side note, I noticed that they were saying they were going back to training again. Remember they looked because of the judge thing or whatever, but anyway, about the shooting, as a result of the shooting.
Yeah.
And they were saying something about, well, they're going to have another training program with the police department. And naturally, we got a new chief right now, and then the person that was on the news that was being interviewed, who happens to have been one of the assistant chiefs, and so the question was, well, are you going to get someone outside of the department to come in and talk about training? And the gentleman that was being interviewed was an assistant chief, and he said, oh no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this inside. We feel more comfortable if we did it ourselves. Well, yeah and no, but the bottom line is that all these other things that have been happening, who's going to be doing the checkings and balances?
Supposedly the internal affairs, yeah. Internal
affairs. You're smiling, John. And right up front, but I'm looking at the chief of police, and I'm looking at the young lady, and I think I'm not, well, she's trying. But my image, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the whole issue of diversity of this, that, and the other. But the fact of the matter is that the whole concept of police work is deterrent. It's a deterrent kind of a deal. Someone has to physically look like someone that will say, well, look, you say you're under arrest, and the person says, okay, fine, you back up, you lay down, and this, and in all due respect, and I saw this myself personally. I saw this after the Stevens shooting. I'm driving down the MLK, and a young lady jumped out of the car. She was a policeman, and there was a guy he was homeless, big guy, and he was shouting this, that, and the other, and she was shouting at him, so to speak, and I'm sitting up there saying, and then I'm saying, well, there's two things I could do. Maybe if I went up there to help him out, I'd look like Stevens, like a Marine Corps. I didn't have my gear on at that point in time. But I'm sitting there saying, now, how is she going to wrestle this guy out? Yeah. I mean, she was being compassionate to this guy. She could have gotten hurt. That's why I stopped and I stayed there and waited, if you will, until and then some other guys came around, and we just waited, because in many cases she was telling us just stay out of this deal. This is, and she turned away from this guy, and he'd been drinking. You can see he'd been drinking this, that, and the other. He's irate, that type of a deal. But if someone physically had approached him, two guys or whatever, right? Physically or whatever. Say, hey, look at you, blah blah blah, and he's going to straighten up. I mean, he's going to sober up a little bit. Yep. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm talking, but my point is that we still have the problem. We still have the problem. Don, what do we do? I mean, I
you go back to two-man cars right away. That's the only solution. One-man cars never have been a good idea. They're dangerous to the policemen. They're dangerous to the people. The reason we don't have two-man cars is because they got too many specialists in the police department, and the new chief hasn't figured that out yet. If I got 22 guys riding a motorcycle, to me, that's 12 two-man cars. I put them back on the street doing police work. Don't mean they're not going to write tickets. They're going to write tickets when they see them, because I always did. But that means your whole job is not producing revenue for the city. You need to go back to police work. Internal Affairs has 8 or 9 or 10 or 12. Put those guys back on the street. Gang squad. There's too many specialists. Put those guys on the street. Make policemen out of policemen again. Stop being a specialist. She has enough policemen to do the job. Yes, they need to hire more, but the reason you're short of cops on the street is because you got too many specialists.
Well, again, that's another subject matter. I hate to put it on there, but it's still an issue. I mean, we still have to deal with this issue day in and day out, the aspect of it. But getting back to the PTSD thing, again, like I said, we're talking to solutions also, too. And then, as I indicated, Teresa's there with Don. She's written a book, this, that, and the other, and she's able to follow up on stuff like that. In fact,
I'm good on the phone.
And I noticed the change in you.
You need an advocate.
But I noticed the change, and the fact of the matter is, it's helped me out, because I'm able to talk about this stuff on a show. I mean, we're able to interview, and hopefully this passes on. The folks and the viewers that are sitting out there will recognize me. Look at what I've got on. I wear this uniform very proudly now. You're just like ourselves. We do the Navy deal and this, that, and the other, and people walk up to you and say, "Thanks for serving." That helps out.
Yeah.
It really does helps out, because I remember when I came up through California, they were spitting on folks. Well, they didn't spit on me. But my point is they were spitting on a lot of folks and whatever. And that holds up to you. And I was having my problems then, but no one recognized it. No one said anything. And we were talking about that again, because a lot of folks don't want to go to the VA. And I'll be right up front with you. That's the other thing too. People of color don't want to go. You recognize it like I recognize it. You know, the majority of the people that are basically getting the services when I go down to Vancouver are all white. I mean, but my point is that it doesn't affect me. I mean, I just get right in because I feel very comfortable wherever I go. But I'm just saying, I'm thinking about these other vets that uses the race thing, because race is an issue now. We still got this big thing that whatever. But my point is, it's an issue, and I'm sitting there saying, folks need to reach out to those folks too. You see what I mean? To a certain degree.
We go often to the Hill, to the VA on the Hill.
On the Hill, right?
And I see more racial diversity there, but it's definitely mostly white people. But I do see, I see black soldiers.
Well, they're coming
usually
now.
Men.
They're coming.
Once in a while, a woman
but
of color.
Vancouver, we have a problem. But I'm helping out. You know, I'm bringing folks when I see them, and this, that, and the other, which is good. But I'm just saying, it is an issue. And if you don't talk about the issue, it doesn't talk about resolution, because a lot of times people with PTSD, and if they have, if they're African American or like myself and whatever, they'll use that as a defense, and then it cuts them from getting the services. See, someone has to be able to break through that barrier and say, hey, look, you got a problem here. You got an ear problem, or you got this, or you got cancer. You got Agent Orange, and you don't even know it. See, a lot of folks have Agent Orange that are still walking out there, they're vets, that are with Vietnam vets right up front. They got it, and they don't know why, you know what I'm saying? But they don't want to go down to the VA, see? And I'm sitting there saying, hey, you got to take that person down there, and, and right up front.
There's a patch. It says sprayed and betrayed. Agent Orange.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better age. Go on, buddy.
Could you introduce everybody? Because our name hasn't.
Oh, name. Okay. Well, you got Don DuPay. You got Don DuPay right over here. Okay, good. He had behind the badge. He's written the book aspect of it. He's former Navy, and he's been on the Northern Golden Side. I got to call him a co-host because I've talked to him about a number of other things. And then we got Teresa DuPay, his wife.
Right.
And then there she is. Don's microphone fell off. Okay, find the mic. Put his mic back on. Okay, you got Don DuPay. And you know Richard.
Richard
you
Carpenter.
got Richard Carpenter.
Bruce
and myself.
Running for county commissioner.
Yeah, running for county commissioner.
We definitely want to thank the crew for doing everything. We still have a little more time.
A little bit more time.
I wanted to introduce us.
Which is good. Which is good. It's good. And by the way, Richard does a heck of a job here. And if you notice the last show, he had one of the producers here. He had one of the producers. At one point in time, we had all kinds of producers here, day in and day out, doing all kinds of things. And
the fellow on the previous show, Dennis Gleason, has produced hundreds of shows.
Yeah, so he's a, and so we got an excellent facility here. We've got an excellent facility here, and it gets out to the community, which is very, very, very important. As you can see, what we're doing right here now. I mean, the news is a whole different ballgame. That's the commercial way of doing it, and it really doesn't talk to the issues. And I'm so glad to be a part of that, because it's
Me too. I just wonder if anybody's watching.
Yeah, well, but my point is that at least 4 of us are.
Can we talk about some politics?
Yes, go on.
So something happened in Beaverton that we are happy about, that we approve of, and boy, we got into some real debates today on Facebook.
Oh, really?
So in Beaverton, Beaverton to ban homeless camping on city streets. This is from June 12th. In a 4-1 vote Tuesday night, Beaverton City Council passed an ordinance banning camping on city streets and other right-of-way areas like sidewalks. There's an 81-year-old man, Tom McDonald.
Wait a minute, did you say Portland?
No, it's Beaverton.
Beaverton.
Oh,
Did I say Portland? Beaverton.
I didn't know.
An 81-year-old man, Tom McDonald, will need to prepare for the changes. Tom McDonald says he prefers living on the streets in Beaverton because it's quiet and safe, which seems like a contradiction in terms, but okay.
There are some people like that. They want to live on.
Well, the area that it's 5th and Western, and we pass by it regularly. It's right behind the flea market that's just south of the KFC, right there off Beaverton Hillsdale Highway. And they started camping there, trailers,
It's a dead-end street.
RVs. It's a dead-end street right next to a big empty lot about 2 years ago. And it started out pretty quiet, and about a year ago things started happening, and they've got drug activity, they've had assaults.
Yeah.
There was a woman who was assaulted. She was chased. Her name was Lupka. She was chased by a man that lived on that street on his bike, threatening to kill her repeatedly. And so we saw this the other day on Facebook. I think KPTV did a story on it, and we read it, and we were really surprised because we don't really keep up on Beaverton politics. But we drove by today, and they're clearing out. They're clearing out.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in Portland don't understand that Beaverton doesn't want the kinds of problems that Portland has. And I applaud the decision of the city council members in Beaverton for doing this, because
that was our platform. That was his platform when he ran for sheriff. That was my platform when I was running for with Wapato. The idea, get them off the street, vet them out, find out who's on the street exactly. We got enough beds there. There's enough land there. You don't have to put tents downtown. You could put 10 on that extra 20 acres that are sitting over there. But my point is that the county doesn't deal with that anymore. But it's an issue.
The thing is, there are two different kinds of homeless. There are legitimate homeless who need help, who are willing to get help, who want to help themselves, and then you have the travelers who are drug addicts and criminals. They're rapists, they're child molesters. They will rob you, they will assault you. They're not, I'm sorry, but they're not deserving homeless.
But you
and
see,
they're not really
Beaverton's
homeless.
not going to let that get started.
Right.
Once you get a cancer, you got to stop.
And all I'm saying is that I'm going to take it on face value and say, okay, fine. All of you have problems.
Yeah.
But you got to, we got to go through a vetting process to find out specifically what I can do to help you out.
Right.
And that's not what they're doing. And that's what's happening. Seattle did the same thing, by the way, and they threatened about. They said, "Well, what are we going to do?" I think it was Microsoft and one other big outfit, electronic firm said, "Well, they said those guys said, well, we're going to charge you guys $250 or $300 per head to deal with the homeless problem." And so those people said, so people down at Microsoft or whatever that electronic said, we're going to move. And then they pulled back. So now they still have the problem. And I'm saying, I think we're doing something. Reese now is the new sheriff here in Portland. He's the sheriff aspect of it. They're doing little stuff, but we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it yet. The summer's just starting. Those places are coming up. People are coming into Portland. This is the Mecca. Everybody's bringing them over here.
And they always take care of people. They say.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and a lot of people come to Portland because the word on the street, according to several people I've spoken to, is come to Portland. The cops won't bother you. You can slam dough.
All the drugs you want.
You can assault women. You can slam drugs. You can steal. You can thieve, and it'll be okay.
You don't have to pay any bills.
Moved to Beaverton because there's no camping ordinance out there until yesterday.
Right.
That's right.
Until
That's
yesterday.
right. Wow.
15 seconds.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, that was a good show. Thank you, buddy. Good show. Thank you very much. Call the VA. Call the VA. What was that phone number again, real quick? Real quick. We got about two.
He's a little late.
Real quick, like, little late. With that.